One of these 14 towns almost became the capital of Mississippi. 4,000 people lived there. It had real estate, real money, real ambition. Today, it has one crumbling church and a cannonball hole in the wall from the Civil War. That's it. And what killed it wasn't a war, wasn't a fire, wasn't bad leadership. It was just mud. River silt piled up, the channel moved, and the whole economy walked away. If that doesn't mess with your head a little, just wait until you hear about the town that NASA literally bulldozed off the map. Number 1, Rodney. So picture this. It's 1850, and Rodney, Mississippi is the place to be. 4,000 people. Cotton money flowing everywhere. Politicians are literally sitting around debating whether to make it the state capital. They built brick buildings, banks, real infrastructure. This town had serious plans. But here's what nobody tells you. The Mississippi River just quietly packed up and left. No dramatic flood, no big event. The channel slowly filled with silt. The boats stopped coming, and just like that, the whole economy was dead. Water access was everything, and the water was gone. By the Civil War, Rodney was already shrinking fast. Then the USS Rattler got into a straight-up firefight with Confederate cavalry right next to the local church. And that cannonball they fired, still lodged in the wall of Rodney Presbyterian Church today. The actual cannonball. Not a museum piece behind glass. Just sitting there in the brick where it landed, more than 160 years later. Let that sink in. Number 2, Rocky Springs. Rocky Springs didn't need a river to die. The ground itself just gave up on it. This was a real town on the Natchez Trace. Post office, Methodist church, stores, cotton farmers who genuinely thought they were there forever. Sounds solid, right? But here's what nobody tells you about deep South farming towns. When you clear all the trees to plant cotton, the topsoil just walks away. The springs dried up or went bad. Yellow fever rolled through. And then the railroad picked a different route entirely, and that was basically the end of the conversation. Number 3, Bruinsburg. Bruinsburg had one moment where it was literally the most important piece of land in America. May 1863. Ulysses S. Grant crossed 24,000 Union troops onto this one little riverbank. 24,000 soldiers. It was the biggest amphibious landing on American soil before D-Day. Let that sink in. Before that, Bruinsburg was just a working river port. Nothing flashy, but it had water access, which was everything back then. And for that one insane moment, it was the hinge point of the entire Civil War's Western campaign. But here's the catch. Grant's army marched inland toward Vicksburg, and Bruinsburg just went back to being small. Then the river shifted, the bluffs became useless, and the whole reason to be there disappeared. Number 4, Plymouth. Plymouth, Mississippi is the ghost town that broke my brain a little. Not because something dramatic happened there, but because basically nothing did. No battle, no famous photo, no Park Service sign. It just existed, and then stopped existing, and the trees grew back over it like it was never there. Here's the thing. Plymouth was built around one job. Move goods, use the waterway, repeat. The second that stopped making sense, there was no plan B. These weren't towns with backup options. They were single-purpose operations, and when the purpose died, everyone left. Number 5, Bankston. Bankston was a lumber town, which means it had an expiration date stamped on it before the first nail went in. The whole business model was find trees, cut trees, sell trees, leave. Nobody told the families building schools and churches there that the clock was already running. Mississippi's timber industry in the late 1800s was fast and brutal. Companies would roll in, strip an area completely bare in maybe a decade, pack up the sawmill and disappear. Workers either followed the equipment or got left behind in a town that suddenly had no reason to exist. Bankston followed that script perfectly. Hard stop. Post office closed. Businesses closed. People left. Number 6. Gainesville. Gainesville was a county seat, not a little farming hamlet, the actual administrative center of an entire county. It had a courthouse, civic infrastructure, and a lumber industry running hot. People were traveling through on their way to New Orleans. It felt permanent because it looked permanent. But here's what nobody tells you. Gainesville was sitting in an area that flooded constantly and got nearly impossible to reach during wet season. So the county just moved the seat somewhere drier. And the moment that happened, the lawyers left. The officials left. The businesses that served those people left. It's a cascade. Pull one brick and the whole thing collapses faster than you'd expect. Number 7, Holmesville. Holmesville was the county seat of Pike County. Real courthouse, real records, real government weight behind it. That's supposed to mean something permanent, right? But here's what nobody tells you about 19th century Mississippi county seats. They got picked based on where people already lived, not where the railroads would eventually go. And when the rails came through, they went straight to Macomb, not Holmesville. Macomb got the trains, Macomb got the growth, and Holmesville got a participation trophy. The wild part? Holmesville actually hung on for a while after losing the county seat. People were still there, some businesses stayed open. But without the government traffic and without rail access, it was basically on life support, getting quieter every single decade until there was nothing left. Number 8, Grand Gulf. Grand Gulf wasn't playing around. Early 1800s, this place was moving thousands of bales of cotton, steamboats lined up along the bank, merchants stacking serious money. It was going head-to-head with Vicksburg for dominance of the whole lower Mississippi. Vicksburg. That's not a small claim. But here's the catch. The river started eating it, not flooding it, actually eating it. The riverbank collapsed under the town. Buildings, streets, warehouses, just falling into the current. Block by block, by the Civil War, Grand Gulf was already gutted. The Union Navy attacked in 1863 and couldn't even take it. Confederate fortifications held. But the river had already done way more damage than any navy could. Number 9, Napoleon. Napoleon was built at the spot where the Arkansas River runs into the Mississippi. 2 massive rivers meeting at one point. Sounds like a geographic jackpot, right? Like you literally cannot lose. But here's what nobody tells you about river confluences. They are some of the most unstable pieces of ground on the planet. The water reroutes constantly. Sediment piles up. Channels shift. Napoleon didn't just get flooded. It got repositioned out of existence. By the mid-1800s, the town was rebuilding after floods over and over again. These people were stubborn. You almost have to respect it. Almost. Number 10, Cotton Gin Port. Cotton Gin Port. I mean, come on. The name literally tells you everything. This town on the Tombigbee River in northeast Mississippi existed for exactly one reason. Cotton comes in, gets ginned, gets loaded onto boats, goes out. Simple operation. And for a while in the early 1800s, it actually worked. But here's the catch. The Tombigbee River has the same attitude toward human infrastructure as the Mississippi. Total indifference. The river shifted, shoals built up, navigation got harder. And then the railroad showed up on a completely different route, and suddenly Cotton Gin Port wasn't necessary anymore. Number 11, Camargo. Camargo is one of those towns where the history is thin because the town itself was thin. Small farming settlement, water-dependent, no real commercial cushion. That's it. And here's the thing. When you're that small, you have zero margin for error. A bigger port town could absorb a bad flood year and keep going. Camargo couldn't. One bad season, one channel shift, one crop failure, and the math just stops working. No recovery plan, no backup. So it quietly stopped functioning. People moved somewhere that made more sense. The records got sparse. The memory faded, and now it barely registers as a footnote. Number 12. Bruton. Bruton had the one thing every riverfront town wanted: high ground. A real bluff above the Mississippi. No flooding, great views of river traffic, boats stopping right below you. Sounds like you solved the whole problem, right? But here's the catch. A bluff only works if the river stays useful. Close enough to trade on, far enough not to eat your town. And the Mississippi absolutely refused to cooperate with that arrangement long term. The river kept shifting, better connected towns kept growing nearby, and Brewer's Bluff never got big enough to survive the hard years. Number 13. Boneyard. Boneyard. Let that sit for a second. Someone actually named this place Boneyard. Either the land already looked dead when they got there, maybe a cemetery nearby, maybe animals kept dying, maybe the soil just looked wrong, or someone named it later as a dark joke about what it had become. Either way, not exactly a name that screams long-term investment opportunity. Here's what's wild, though. The historical record on Boneyard is basically empty. No battle, no famous photo, no marker. It existed in the margins, too small to matter to historians and too quiet to attract any attention. Number 14. Core Springs. Core Springs. Can't find much about it. And that's kind of the whole point. Best guess is it followed the same pattern you see all over Mississippi. People settled near a reliable spring, built enough to feel permanent, and then the spring dried up or got contaminated or just stopped mattering once railroads and piped water made natural springs irrelevant. And that was it. But here's the thing. Water is literally the story of every single town on this list. Water that built ports, shifted channels, flooded streets, ate riverbanks. And we end with a town named after water that couldn't survive without it. So here's the thing. 14 towns, one villain. The Mississippi River didn't care about your cotton money, your courthouse, or your Civil War heroics. Water moves, silt builds up, channels shift. That's just what rivers do.